Hey, welcome back in, all you DPC rebels and resistant fighters. DrShane's back with another Friday 5-minute magic tip. It's looking like a beautiful weekend coming on, so I hope you guys are ready. I know I am for another time to hang out with family, just chill. Last week we talked a little bit about the frustration of insurance with DPC, and maybe employers might work better for insurance if you have some connections with the benefits people and they're self-funded. So how maybe working with self-funded employers may be better than just good old-fashioned buca plan insurances. We talked a little bit about that, so go check that out on last week. Today, another little tip about employers frustration, huge, big, fat headache, thing that really bugs us, really drives us crazy in our office. And so something for you to think about is eligibility, employee eligibility, getting patients from the employer into our system and taking ones out. So people who they've been terminated, let go, fired, quit, whatever, changed jobs, so they're no longer there. So they need to be removed from the plan, or new employees need to be added to the plan. So eligibility is the big benefits term. So who's in, who's out, that kind of thing. And for large employers, if you have several hundred patients, employees, or 1,000, trying to figure out who's coming and going can be quite difficult and time consuming for your staff to deal with. So there's some administrative things you need to think about when you're working with employers. So that's why I say for large employers, giving discounts or lowering your costs is probably not very helpful, because you're going to be doing a lot more administrative work. So who's going to do that work? Who's going to tell you who's in, who's out? Or is that up to you? Is it up to the HR department for the company? Is that up to the benefits advisor? Who's doing that? Sending you that information? How are you going to get it? Is it being emailed? Who's a phone call? Is there a system in place to do that? That's something you need to figure out right from the beginning when you're working with employers. And unfortunately, it may be different for every employer. So we have multiple employers and it's a little bit different. So there are improvements to this. There are our organizations, EMR companies, and the financial organizations like Atlas and Hint that are doing EMR systems. They are able to connect with employers. There are mechanisms so employers can connect with your EMR and take patients out, put patients in. They can see who's in on their list. So there are mechanisms, the way to make this easier. But someone at the employer, someone at the company has to do this. Is that HR? Who's going to do it? You really need to have these conversations as you're talking to the employers. How are we going to know who's in and who's out? Who's going to manage that? Someone at your office needs to be the point person for that. So need to really think about that as you're working with employers, moving forward into the employer uh, workload and sessions that you try to meet with employers and learn more about how to offer them help. So it's a very important concept to think about, especially for large employers. Your mom and pops with 10, 20, 5 employees. Obviously they're just going to give you a call and say, hey, we're adding Joe Bob, or Joe Bob ain't working for us anymore. So got to have a way to stay on top of those things. So think about those connections. Think about how to figure out who's in and who's out, because it will come back to haunt you and bite you in the butt when you realize somebody's been off their plan, not on the DPC plan for 6 months, and the company's been paying and now they want their money back. So it's a very critical part of working with employers and DPCs. So think about that. Talk about that with your EMR companies that you use too. How can employers uh, get involved on their end to really work through the EMR to exchange information on who's in and who's out? So think about those things as you move forward working with employers. It can be a massive headache. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys today. I hope you have a great weekend. Looking forward to some time and some rest for myself. Think about yourself, do some self care. and hopefully see you guys out there in another DPC event or right here on the 5-minute magic tip next week. Hang in there, people, and keep the DPC magic going.